Hello everybody, it's Mark Anthony Taylor here again. Today I want to discuss why the Libor scandal, the Libor rate, and the gold fix and gold manipulation are basically two sides of the same coin. Now to begin, we look back through history and what we find is that all governments basically spend beyond their means. They have ambitions and they have electorates to please and they have palaces to build. But the taxpayers generally can't afford to satisfy their ambitions. So what they do and what they've done for at least 2,000 years is to borrow money from money lenders. Now what happens is over time the borrowing gets out of hand and the money lenders get more and more power, and then the money lenders begin setting the rules. So in the modern day we have this banking system, and the bank is able to borrow from the government at practically 0% interest rates and then lend that out, say, for mortgages at 2.5%. Now we all know that the true rate of inflation is somewhere above 8%, which means that effectively the government is lending at less than the rate of inflation. And in the long term, that doesn't make any sense. Well, to a normal honest person, an honest lender, lending out at less than the rate of inflation is a quick road to insolvency. So obviously the government is lending at this fraudulent rate, which is itself inflationary, and the money lenders are getting very cheap money, and they're pushing this housing market, and the people who buy the mortgages, they must think it's great because they're getting a mortgage rate that's less than inflation, and they probably think that's normal, they think that's natural, and that's the way things should be. But of course the other side of that is that you've got all this money printing, and the money printing causes inflation, and we see the inflation in the housing bubble. And in Britain, in February of 2014, I believe, there was something like a 2.4% increase in the cost of housing. So if you compound that over 12 months, that's something close to 30% interest, 30% inflation in house prices. And we all know that electricity bills, power bills, heating bills, they've probably all doubled over the last 4 or 5 years. So we've seen 20% growth in fuel bills, 20% in housing. And food bills, I remember buying a chicken sometime 2010, 11, and it was €3 from Lidl. Same chicken today, same mass, and that chicken is close to €6. So the price of chicken has doubled, so the price of food has doubled, the price of fuel has doubled, and the price of housing looks like it's set to double. So we've got this 20% inflation. Some others would say it's less. I can't say, of course, these numbers are all made up. And this discrepancy between the rate of inflation and what people are able to loan and borrow at means that the entire financial system has to be rigged. So you have Libor, which is the interbank lending rate, basically represents the solvency of different banks. And each bank has on its asset books these mortgage packages. So of course you can think of Libor as representing the solvency of these mortgage packages. The mortgage packages are going into default, then of course the interest on them should be high, and that means that the owner of those instruments is probably going insolvent. So of course we have the quantitative easing bailouts, which go along with the Libor scandal. So the Libor is saying that these banking solvencies are not a problem, but of course quantitative easing is telling us exactly the opposite. Quantitative easing is just a patch on the Libor scandal, which is itself a patch on the interest rate versus inflation rate lie. So this all begins with this difference between the interest rate and the inflation rate, and it all filters down into Libor and quantitative easing, and then finally you get the gold scandal, this gold fix up and coming scandal, which is going to prove a Libor 2.0, but probably Libor raised to the power of infinity. And the reason the gold price is manipulated is because if it was not manipulated, then anyone with any sense, seeing that their bank accounts don't pay any interest and the inflation rate is in double figures, will just bail straight out into gold, silver and platinum. But of course they look at the performance of these metals over the past couple of years and they've flatlined. And every time they slowly rise, they suddenly spike down due to massive trading volume. So of course this tells us that the entire system, from the rigged inflation rate to the gold fix, it's all part of one giant scam due to overspending of governments, and the overspending of governments gives the banksters absolute control. Now what we have to do, and it's going to be a terrible thing, but we're going to have to destroy these banks. We're going to have to pour all of that cash into gold, silver and platinum, and they become the new means of transaction. And it's not going to be an easy ride by any means. Lots of people are going to lose everything. Some people will gain a lot, but we're heading for something similar to Mad Max, and what we need to do is make sure that we're in a Mad Max world with the precious metals, rather than in a Mad Max world looking across the Far East and finding that while they've got Mad Max, we've got Mad Max plus Weimar. So that's my conclusion. Thank you very much. Goodbye.